Welcome to Home Biz Tax Talk. My name is Lysandra Everett. I am the Home Biz Tax Lady, where I help home business owners win the tax game. Home Biz Tax Talk airs Monday through Friday, 9 o'clock-ish. And when you tune into my show, you're going to hear about topics that are important to the home business community. So I want to talk about an article that is now resurfacing and making its way across social media again. And that is about the travel ban, another travel ban. Okay, and we're talking about passports and taxes. So first of all, if there's one change I would love to see us make in 2019 is to not be consumers of headlines. Headlines are written so that they spark interest to get you to read. But a lot of times we don't read. We just see the headline and then we get all hot and upset, whatever, without really knowing the whole entire story. So the headline for this says, and I kind of copied it a little bit for my topic today, because I'm going to do the same thing, but I hope that people will actually take the time to listen and more so than read, because quite frankly, we don't read anymore. All right. So this article, the headline says, and I have it up on my other screen here, it says, another travel ban. IRS moves to revoke passports for unpaid taxes. Okay. So now people are all hot. So I was actually on this thread where somebody shared this, and people are making comments like, I keep saying this, that wall is to keep us in, not them out. Then there's somebody else, illegals get to run free throughout and ride throughout the countryside. Then another person questioned the constitutionality of the law. So what gets me is that we have become consumers of headlines and we are not looking for knowledge. Okay. We're just not. And if there's one thing I really love about this tax reform is that it has made people wake up and pay attention to what's happening with taxes in this land. Okay. So now this law was from the PATH Act of 2015. This law was actually passed back in 2015, December of 2015. But now everybody's getting all upset about it. Why? Because it's all about the headlines, right? So you hear the headline about tax reform, how people are upset, their refunds are smaller. You got people with larger tax liabilities, all this kind of stuff going on. And then you see this come along and it just kind of adds fuel to the fire. And you don't even know that this act was passed 4 years ago. Okay, 3.5, right? Maybe. But here's the kicker. This idea of revoking passports started in 2012, right? So it's the idea started in 2012. It became law in 2015, and folks is just now getting mad in 2019, right? Come on. So what is the deal with this? Okay, so the PATH Act says that the State Department has the right to suspend your passport if you have unpaid taxes of $50,000 or more. And when they did this study, they gave examples of the type of people it would impact. So there was one case of an unpaid federal tax of $31.7 million. This is somebody who was actually indicted for fraud, and then the IRS took control of their assets. Then there was another case of someone who owed $4.7 million. The individual was a CPO that provides consulting on construction projects. The individual owed personal income taxes for 5 years during the 90s and the 2000s, and they generally did not make estimated tax payments. Okay? And so the IRS levied their stuff. And the individual offered to pay about $1.5 million to settle the debts. The IRS had filed liens against the individual's property. Okay. The IRS is not playing with y'all when it comes down to this tax debt. I keep telling you, the IRS is the longest reaching arm of the law because they can come and get your stuff. All right. Your house, your car, your retirement account, your savings account, all of that stuff. Okay. Then there was another case of individual that was a CEO of a medical company that owed 1.6 million in unpaid taxes. The individual was assessed tens of thousands of dollars in trust fund recovery penalties. Trust fund recovery penalties is when you don't pay the employment taxes. You might take them out of your employees' paychecks, but then you don't turn that over to the government. Okay, while owing taxes, individual owned a luxury vehicle and also owned a multi-million-dollar house. This ain't after poor people, y'all. Okay, so I hear people talking about, they just want to keep us poor. Okay, keep on going with they on that. Then there was an individual who was a retired doctor that owed personal income taxes of over $500,000. Individual, the IRS filed tax liens. The individual reported capital gains of over $150,000. And the individual recently made trips to Asia. You making trips to Asia, but you ain't paying your taxes, okay? So, $200,000 tax debt. Individual is a DOT, Department of Transportation employee that told our investigators that a passport may be needed for promotion opportunities. The individual owed taxes for a couple of years while working in the private sector. The IRS filed tax liens. Then there's an individual that owed $200,000 in unpaid taxes. Okay, was a federal contractor that worked with the states and Department of Defense. The person owed personal income taxes, did not file income tax returns for 6 years. Okay, and the individual made trips to Mexico, Europe, and the Middle East. So again, the IRS is saying, okay, look, so you got money to travel, but you don't have money to pay your taxes. That's a no-go at this station. Okay, so when people sitting up here talking about, oh, they just want to keep us in. Well, if you pay your taxes like you're supposed to, you are free to move about the cabin and the world as you please. But what people want to do is you want to take the money that rightfully belongs to the government. I don't care how you feel about taxation. It's not going anywhere. The current law is that you got income taxes to pay, thou shalt pay. Right? So if you don't want to be subject to your passport being suspended by the State Department, I don't know, pay your taxes. That's an idea. And look, nobody likes to pay taxes. I don't care who you are. Nobody likes to pay taxes. I don't like to pay taxes. You don't like to pay taxes. I don't know anybody that really loves to pay taxes. I don't at all. All right. And so, so what is in this tax debt? We're talking about the original tax debt, penalties, interest, all of that stuff gets added up. I keep telling you, interest and penalties, that interest is compounding and it's added daily. So your interest from yesterday is going to gain interest today. That interest plus yesterday and today, that's going to get interest added tomorrow. It's compounding and it's added every single day. So that's how these tax bills go. Okay. And so, so when you think about people, when you hear about people saying, okay, the IRS kept my tax refund. What are they keeping tax refunds for? They keep tax refunds for back child support, for defaulted student loans, for past overdue state tax debt. So these are all the reasons why the IRS will hold your taxes. Also, if you have a 1099-C, right? A 1099-C is when people settle a debt. Well, if you settle a debt that's over $600, that 1099-C goes to the IRS. So let's just say that you have a house that gets foreclosed on, right? Or there's a short sale and that's forgiven. Well, imagine suddenly owing the IRS taxes on $200,000. Just, we're talking about a house, it would all the other variables, but just go with me on this. So you think about that. Owing taxes on $200,000 can put you in a whole nother tax bracket, right? So when you, and then if you can't pay that and you've got penalties and interest that are racking up, at some point it will get to that if you're not taking care of it. So, so I want you to understand that you have to get to the point where you are not just being, just read the headline and getting all upset. Like, I'm not here to defend any politician, but I'm going to tell you something, we're already upset about enough stuff, right? But when you get mad at the wrong people, that just makes it worse. Like, if you're going to get mad at somebody, how about you get mad at Congress, right? Because Congress is the one that writes the laws. The IRS simply enforces the laws. So if you don't like the law, how about you look and see how your congressman voted on this back in 2015, if they're still there. And then if you don't like it, vote them out. That's an idea. Now, the other thing is that we have to be careful of half-truths. Okay. And, this is not a political talk, but this is really more of a charge for you to make sure that you get all the information. If you read a headline that ticks you off, go get all the information. So I was watching, there was a politician that had a town hall last night. And I watched the first part of it, and it really kind of irked my nerves because they took a stab at, these companies that are, not paying taxes. And I'm sitting here like, okay, but if they didn't owe, why should they pay? And if you've been in Congress or the Senate or whatever, the House of Representatives, if you've been there long enough and you don't like the law, why have you not worked to change said law? See, people want to get all upset, these wealthy corporations aren't paying taxes on their profits. Well, they're following the tax law. If you don't like that they're not paying taxes that they don't owe based on the tax law, change the tax law. But then, they come out and say these things, but they don't tell you that the people have not done anything illegal. See, the truth is we all want to take advantage of tax law, right? This is itemized deductions. Itemized deductions is tax law. So if you have the ability to itemize and then take more of a deduction to reduce your tax liability, are you not going to do that? Yes, you are. So don't get all riled up at the sight of a headline that's taking stab at something. If it upsets you, then go do the research. Go find out the truth. Because that's the whole manipulation of it all, is that we're just going to put something out there that's going to spark an emotional response. And then so you wind up ticked off with somebody that didn't even do it, right? So and just to give you an example, like this whole thing about the passport. Well, now everybody's ticked off because, the Republicans and President Trump, they trying to keep us in the country. The PATH Act was passed under President Obama in 2015. Oops. So don't take headlines for what they are. Don't take somebody's opinion for what it is. Go do your own research and find out who really did it. Because the truth is, a lot of the things that you get angry about and the way that the headlines are written, you're not even getting the whole story. So we have to stop being consumers of headlines and start finding out the story. Okay? And here's the deal. All of these tax laws that are available to all these wealthy people, I hear people getting so upset at wealthy people. But I don't hear people saying, dang, I need to get wealthy so I can do that. Let's have some more of that. Let's have some more. Dang, I wish I had money to stash in the Cayman Islands or whatever. Okay, let's stop wishing for it and start working for it. And see, when you don't pay attention, this is how things happen. And then you think it's some big conspiracy theory that they're coming after you personally. Money is influence. And so let me tell you something else that don't have nothing to do with these passports, but I really want you to get what is going on. So we had the tax reform. We had the corporate tax rate that was cut, right? That was supposed to be more money for corporations to go create more jobs. We know that didn't happen, right? But what did happen? Corporations bought back stocks from shareholders. Okay, that's okay. So people made a lot of money. Now, at the same time, in this tax reform, Congress passed this provision called qualified opportunity zones, where states can submit different tracts of lands, neighborhoods that need to be revitalized, right? Now, so you could invest your capital gains into these qualified opportunity zones, into these funds, and then your money, not only would you not pay taxes on the capital gains, but your capital gains would then grow tax-free in this real estate, right? So if you leave your money in the fund long enough, then you would either pay reduced or up to zero taxes on this money. And guess what? It was a Democrat that helped write the qualified opportunity zone thing. So it's not just Republicans. So now a Democrat helped to craft the language that's going to allow people who benefited from these stock buybacks to invest their money tax-free in qualified opportunity zones and revitalize these neighborhoods. And then when they get to take their money out, that money is going to be tax-free as well. So don't get stuck on Republicans. It ain't just Republicans doing it. It ain't just Democrats is doing it. It's all doing it. But you have to go and do the homework. So now this transfer of wealth, and I remember talking about this early 2018, that there was a transfer of wealth that was about to happen. It's happening. And that's how it's happening. Money is influence. So don't get mad at people who take advantage of tax laws, because if you could do it, you would do it too. So how about you start working to put yourself and your family in the position to take advantage of tax laws? You can't take advantage of tax laws being broke. Nobody is going to come give you this money as much as you would like to have. I would love to have like $500,000 just fall into my lap. That'd be awesome. But it's not going to happen, right? So this is what I'm saying is, like, we can no longer be uninformed consumers of news and headlines. You can't do it. You've got to read the stories. And so when we're talking about, and with all the political stuff, we're talking about voting and all of that, there's no way that there's not going to be a perfect candidate. There's not going to be somebody that always does what you want them to do. But what you have to do is know what's important to you, and then you have to do the fact finding. And so instead of you being ticked off and saying, oh, now they're trying to take our passports away. No, they want you to pay your taxes. That's it. They want you to pay your taxes. And if you want to get to the point where you don't owe taxes, then have enough money to take advantage of tax laws. Because I guarantee you will find that that wealthy people do pay taxes. They just pay them at a lower rate. And they have ways to shelter their money, just like this qualified opportunity zones. You know how many millions of dollars people are going to be putting into these opportunity zones, and it's going to sit there and it's going to grow, and all those millions are going to be tax-free. But you want to blame the wealthy people that take advantage. No, because if you could do it, you would do it too. So let's focus on getting in the position to take advantage of those tax laws when they come along. If you start getting ready, when the opportunity comes, you will be ready and you can take advantage. This is why you have financial teams. See, we're so busy trying to do it yourself. We're trying to do our own taxes. We're trying to manage our own company's finances. We're trying to do our own trading, right? You got the little, like the Robinhood and the E-Trade and all that. You want to go and do all this stuff yourself. You can't do it all. Build a team of people. That's how wealthy people got wealthy, and that's how they keep their money. And then when they build that money over generations, then they start to influence policy. That's how it works. So, okay. So, yeah. Yes, it is true. The IRS and the State Department can revoke your passport, not renew your passport, suspend your passport if you have a tax debt of over $50,000. How about let's not get that far? Okay, let's do that. All right, you guys, thank you so much for tuning into Home Biz Tax Talk. I hope this gives you a little something to chew on. All right. So thank you for tuning in. Again, we're here Monday through Friday, 9 o'clock-ish. And if you have not booked your 15-minute complimentary consultation, you can do so right here, www.homebiztaxchat.com. And I will see you all next time. Bye.